We are live. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Shemane, and this is Simply Shemane. And I'm so excited to bring on my guest, Kary Oberbrunner. He is a best-selling author, and I can't wait for him to tell you about his amazing book, because it's not only changed my life, but it's changed my son Rocco's life. And Rocco's going to be in just a minute and ask Kary some questions. Before we get started, everybody, if you guys have any questions for Kary, please type them in the comment section because I can see them. I'm actually on my son Rocco's laptop right now. That's why we started a few minutes late. My laptop just died at like 3 minutes before we had to go live. And thank goodness Rocco was here. So it looks like I'm going to have to get a new laptop and that's how it happens. You know, that's what happens. So those people who are watching, if you could just write in the comment section where you're watching from. We have people from all over the world, and also what stream, if it's on Facebook, Twitter, or Periscope, and YouTube. I love seeing everybody, and I love acknowledging you guys, because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here, truly, because we have just been so suppressed, and we need you. If you could share this right now. I see Tracy from Sonora Desert. Before we get started, I also wanted to thank Senior Care of Michigan. Guys, this is my last show of Simply Shemane, and there's a couple of reasons for that. I have a potential another opportunity, and I thought, well, I might as well start over in the new year with this brand new opportunity. And I got to tell you, Senior Care of Michigan has been here with me from the start of Simply Shemane. And if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have been able to do this, because typically we've had a studio setting, and I have brought a lot of guests into the studio, and we have a big production. And it was really important that Senior Care of Michigan, literally they contacted me and they asked if they could sponsor the show, because they know that our family, we believe in a set few number of products. And if we get some type of a, endorsement from someone, that we have searched them out, we have used their products, we know the people who are running the show, and it means a lot to us. And I want to tell you a little story about Senior Care of Michigan. My mom had a little run-in with a scam artist, I'll just say. And these days, especially, we want to make sure that our parents are taken care of and they'll be okay. And I know that Senior Care of Michigan is going to do everything they can to make sure that your family members, your senior family members, are taken care of financially so that you can rest well at night. All right, guys. So my guest, Kary Oberbrunner, has written an incredible book that literally has changed my life. And like I said, changed my son Rocco's life. And Kary, I want to let you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, wherever you want to start. And I thank you again so much for being here.
Listen, when I got your email, I was absolutely shocked, because you pass along books, you write it, you put in your blood, sweat, and tears, and you don't know if it's going to help people. And then to get an email that says it changed your life, that was fantastic. So thank you. And Rocco, great to meet you as well. By the way, my wife's from Muskegon, Michigan. So Michigan's dear to our hearts. But basically, I woke up about 6 years ago with kind of a nightmare. And the nightmare was about how a future society was getting hacked with their brains. And, that's weird stuff for me, because I'm a former pastor. I'm pretty chill. I don't write fiction, but I woke up kind of, alarmed. And I basically spoke into my smartphone about 12 lines of text just about this thing, Elixir Project, and this idea. And then I woke up in the morning and thought, did I have a dream? But then I looked at that note and saw, no, this was actually a real dream that I had. So the point was that I had this kind of idea of a future society where people's brains would get hacked. And so I turned that into a young adult fiction book called Elixir Project. And it was fun and dystopian and like Hunger Games, Divergent. But then when it came out, a lot of people who are in the personal growth business world just your average people. They said, oh my gosh, this is real. Like, this is actually going to happen. And they said, you need to turn this into a nonfiction book. And so I spent the next 4 years writing Unhackable. And now it's actually, I had no idea the pandemic, of course. I had no idea about the elections, all this stuff. But the reality is that in 2020, the world got hacked.
Yeah.
And you tell me, I mean, you tell me a little bit about why the book resonated, because I mean, the whole world is like up in arms, and someone or something has gained unauthorized access to our minds.
Yes.
So did that resonate with you?
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, I always call this 2020 is a spiritual awakening. And literally so much of my book is marked up, but from the cover, like I went,
yeah,
sometimes pick up covers and I will look at them and I go, I don't know. But I'm reading the 30-day elixir, love that word, 30-day elixir for creating flawless ideas. Okay, I'm really interested. Leveraging superhuman focus. I'm super interested. And achieving optimal performance through flow. You got me there. And then you signed it to me and you said, and this got me, thanks for igniting souls. Like, that's what I want to do. Like, that's my thing. So yes, that helped me literally carry every page. I don't know if you can see the
highlight. Yeah.
Everything. So
here's where it you know hits. Human knowledge used to double every 1,000 years. So, you know, you look throughout history and it was like, oh, it changed over multiple generations. Well, today we live in a society where human knowledge doubles every 12 hours. So, you know, you used to be able to keep up with your grandparents or your parents because the changes were so slow. But now because of tech, we're literally doubling human knowledge every 12 hours. And we feel the weight of that. We live in a world now where we make 35,000 decisions a day. And so you can feel it. At the end of the day, we use words like, I feel drained, or I'm running on fumes. And as a result, that's called decision fatigue. And so our ancestors of years ago, they didn't have to make all these decisions. I mean, you know, Shemane, you're into fitness, but now we have over 226 food decisions a day. So it's like, oh my gosh, the options are just endless. And most of us, within the first few minutes of our day, we're staring at our smartphones. Guilty, right? So we live in a world where technology is not the enemy, but unless we learn how to navigate the noise, we're never going to fulfill our divine destiny. By the way, I don't know if you remember the definition for the word abracadabra. But in the book I talk about, and I love that because abracadabra, we all said it as kids and we wanted something magical to happen, but it means I create as I speak. So when you say the word abracadabra, you're saying I create as I speak. And the word abracadabra comes from 3 Hebrew words. Abba is Abra, which is father. So it literally means Father, Son, Spirit. And when we speak, we're supposed to be speaking things into existence, ideas, dreams, desires. But too often we get hacked in the world. And hacking is when we think of oftentimes our smartphones or our computers. It means when someone gains unauthorized access. But you know and I know that media, society is really gaining unauthorized access to our minds.
Yes.
And it's weighing us down.
So Brandon Jackson says, this is the Matrix in Technicolor. And David Nagy says, amen, we feel lost. And Yvonne Messick, my mother, is on here.
Hey.
She says, yes, the whole world was hijacked in 2020. Kary, tell everybody about the boon.
Yeah. So a lot of people, Shemane, they basically don't care if they're getting hacked. And I know that sounds kind of weird, but it was true in the Matrix too, where most people were unaware or they didn't care. And the problem is we'll actually seek out distractions if we don't know what our boon is. Boon comes from the term, the hero's journey. It was a book written by Joseph Campbell, The Hero with a Thousand Faces. And it basically talks about how there's this reluctant hero, just like you, just like me, like Ted, Rocco, everybody watching. And we're in this ordinary world. We receive this call to adventure. You know, I'm a person of faith, so I believe that God has created us for a divine adventure. But most of us just say, it's too painful. You know, it's too painful to go through that journey. And so we just numb ourselves. But when we numb ourselves when we numb our pain, we numb our potential. And so we live in this world then where we're not fully alive. But thankfully, there's this call to an adventure, just like with Luke Skywalker and Frodo and all the movies we might watch. And we have to cross into what's called the special world. And the special world is where you are in an adventure. And you usually meet a mentor. And Shemane might be your mentor today. Or, authors might be our mentors. But what happens is we think the enemy is out there. We think it's the giant, the big battle, the certain political party. But really, our biggest enemy is ourselves.
Yeah.
And we end up having to fight ourselves. And when we do, we achieve this boon, which is our deepest desire, greatest ache, and truest longing.
And Nikki Klagel is on here right now, and she's responsible for connecting us. So thank you, Nikki. And we got to talk soon. So Nikki says she's asking, what's your boon? And I'm wondering if she's asking me that. But that is one of the reasons why I'm here interviewing you. And I mentioned to you in an email that, I'm constantly, in the Bible, it says, live a quiet life and work with your hands.
Yes.
And I love to write. I could just write for hours every day. And I'm constantly writing this book or that book. And I thought, wow, I need to write. And Nikki was helping me with it. And basically an anti-aging book and sharing all of my tips and tricks, secrets, for whatever it's worth, with people about how to get healthier and happier.
Yeah.
Then I literally picked up your book, Kary, and I went, I'm hacking myself by writing this book, because for 30 years I have wanted to write a novel.
Wow.
And so it was this book. Like every morning I get up and I write for a few hours. I could write all day if I didn't have 3 dogs, Ted Nugent for a husband, and lots of things going on. But so that has really changed my life, and I so enjoy it. So Nikki, that's my boon.
I love it. So you want to write a novel? That is fantastic.
No.
You are writing a novel.
I am writing a novel. Yes.
I love it. Well, that is powerful. And what I'm an author, I'm a publisher, so I love to learn more. But are you able to tell us a little bit about that novel?
Yes, sure. It's a high concept love story. What I love stories. I love books like Outlander and romance novels, things like that. But I also want a little bit of a thriller. And what would be a better background or backdrop than what's happening this year?
Oh my
so
God.
I'm literally utilizing my experience in television. The main character is an anchor, a news reporter, and she stumbles upon some information about basically the government getting hacked.
Oh.
So there you go.
I love it. I love it.
So tell me a little bit about Kary. What's next for you? I'm going to bring Rocco in here in a minute.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a few questions to ask you. I'm sure he's going to get more deep into all of this. But tell me what's going on for you. What's next?
So here's what I think, Shemane. I've written a bunch of books, and I've never had a book take off like Unhackable. And I think the reason why, again, I wasn't smart enough to write it for 2020 release. I didn't know what was going to happen. But I think that there's this general consensus with humanity that says, you know what, we are getting hacked. And media is trying to shape our thoughts. And we are, the Social Dilemma came out. I don't know if you saw that, but the Social Dilemma was this Netflix thing that came out right during it. And here's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing over 100 unhackable coaches step up. So I'm one of these people that says I can either hold my idea and pretend it's mine, where I can say, you know what, this idea was given to me by God, and I'm going to share it with others. So we have people that have literally started Unhackable Christians, Unhackable moms of drug addicts, Unhackable doctors. And what's happening is everyone can take this message and apply it to their own unique audience. So I'm seeing now over 220 domains that were purchased, and people are literally buying unhackablemarriages.com. Yeah, some of my coaches are here. Lynn is here. Danielle is here. So some of these people are all over the world. We have an Australian coach called Karen Gibbs, and people are just saying, you know what, this unhackable message fits my passion, and we let them co-brand it and take the book and really make it blend with their audience. So that's, you know, I'd love to chat with you about your novel, because your novel and hacking, I mean, that's yeah.
I can find myself or see myself fitting into several of those groups. So we've got a comment from Chris Kolakowski. All of my creations come when I'm sleeping. Moments before I wake, I'll write down my thoughts.
And that's true. That is because your brain, as you know from the back of the book, the section on flow, your brain actually goes into different types of waves. So that would be an alpha wave, where essentially you are close to the dream state. And God's made our brains with neurochemicals so that we can experience endorphins, and we can experience serotonin, and all these neurochemicals that we're supposed to get. And you live out in nature, so you're often getting them, but a lot of us are not. We're just glued to the screen all day, and so we don't get those special neurochemicals.
Yeah. So I'm going to bring Rocco in just a minute. Rocco, we're going to have to share this seat. Kevin Scholl says, how do you know you're not lying in a coma, imagining all of 2020? Somebody wake me up, please.
I think a lot of people are agreeing with him. And
aren't there times, Kary, when you just pinch me, like if we would have known a year ago, if somebody would have told us what was going to happen this year, it'd be a novel.
Yeah, unbelievable. But here's the thing, like, there's some people that have gotten hacked in March and they're still hacked. You know, like, that's the problem. Is I know people that are saying, I can't wait till 2021, and they were saying that 6 months ago, and so they've wasted the last 6 months.
Yes.
Like you and me, I mean, we're trying to redeem every day, because today's a gift.
And one more thing before I bring Rocco in, I might just turn this over to Rocco a little bit, but for what I get from Unhackable, what this meant to me when I first read it was that, you know what, I'm not putting forth what's in my heart and soul as much as I should be.
Yes.
The thing that has been in the back of my mind for 30 years, I'm not doing it because maybe people want to hear about how to, you know, tighten their neck up, or how to lose weight, or whatever, which is information that I can share. But if I'm not putting forth my best potential, if I'm not putting forth God's gift within me, then I'm being hacked, bro.
Absolutely. Well, but see, even the fact that you realize that is a good sign, because dead people feel nothing. And so the fact that you felt that little bit of pain that says, hey, something is not right, that's a sign that you're alive. There's other people that are feeling nothing. So congrats to you. And we do have an unhackability assessment where, you know, we want people to, just like Kevin, take the free assessment. We have all kinds of tools at unhackablebook.com, and we'd love for people to jump in full speed and determine if they're getting hacked.
Well, I'm going to turn this over to Rocco for just a minute. And guys, don't go away, because I've got an announcement at the end of this. And please, please, please share this. This is the only way it's getting out, because I have been hacked by the social media powers that be. And a lot of my feeds are being suppressed. So I'd love for you to stick around in just a minute. And I'm going to introduce my son, Rocco Nugent. He also goes by Rocco Moon, and he's got a few questions for you, Kary. Take it away, Rocco.
Woo!
Hey.
Wow, man. Thank you for this.
Oh, yeah. Listen, thanks for reading it. It means a lot to me.
Yeah, I'm on page 99 right now.
Fantastic.
And the main thing that is, I guess, showing itself to me is a reflection or a mirror of you call it a code or a signal that's coming forth through my heart. That's kind of a byproduct of what I've learned. It's called Moon Theory, and it's called Missing Out on Nothing: How to Heal FOMO and Live Your Most Lit Life. And what that means to me is basically synonymous with being unhackable.
Yeah.
And when someone's unhackable, the version that the Rocco system says that as called is missing out on nothing. And when we're getting hacked, we are missing out. We are in this state of feeling lack consciousness. And I was taking some notes and loving what you were saying. I love that abracadabra, because we all definitely heard that word, but the Son, Holy Spirit definitely didn't know that breakdown. And this thing, 2020, wild moment in human evolution. I think also I love the graph that you put in that shows, like, we had this slow progression, and all of a sudden once you get to 1900 and the Industrial Revolution, it's like, like you said, we every 12 hours we're already doubling our knowledge. And it's so I have this, I guess, platform canvas / inquiry for you to paint upon.
Yes.
The development and evolution of AI and artificial intelligence, and also the development in an artificial spirit, or rather the development of ego, the development of our collective egoic, as Eckhart Tolle talks about. It's our collective pain. Our collective pain body has accumulated to this point where it's hacking us as we're trying to thrive. We're hacking us because of our pain. But it's almost like, the thing that tries to hack us is the thing that wakes us up. Like you said, another note, you said it, my mom was like, thank God we feel the pain, because that's how you know you're alive.
You know you're alive. Exactly.
And so I guess some kind of pros to you is, moving forward, how important is it for people to get in touch with their metaphysical self? Because what else is there really to get hacked? If you are in knowing or in relationship and communion with who and where you come from, can you ever get hacked? You're in this kind of more stable, sturdy posture, So is it
totally. I'm catching you. So there's a term, to talk about what you're saying. Even an example, let's say I hurt my arm. I'll use the word that says, my arm hurts. In other words, my arm is separate than me, instead of I hurt in my arm.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Little things like that, where what we begin to do is we begin to separate ourselves, where we say, my faith does not match with my physical, which doesn't match with my spiritual. Like we divide ourselves up into separate parts. And I feel like that's a major weakness. And Unhackable, what it does, you'll like this, because I know you're a philosophy type dude. And you got a fan club. Some people are talking about your movies and stuff. So in the book, when you get to the end, we talk about idea, focus, and flow. And that's really how you become unhackable. Mm-hmm. But notice this, Rocco. Ideas is knowing, focus is being, and flow is doing. You see that? So it's knowing, being, and doing. In other words, unhackable is an entire holistic experience. And we're meant to have ideas where we dream and do and ideate and implement. And there's not supposed to be this gap. In other words, Rocco, I don't know what your view of scripture is, but where it says, God said, let there be light, and there was light. In other words, zero gap between ideation and implementation. God said, let there be light, and there was light.
Right.
We're created in God's image. You and I should have the ability to dream and do, ideate and implement, but instead we have this gap that occurs, and the gap results from getting hacked.
So this goes to my identification as a crystal indigo starseed kid. So I, as a young person, felt people's emotions as if they were my own. I would see someone in pain and I would feel pain. I would get very confused as to what were my emotions, what were others' emotions.
There was no separation between you and other people.
Right, but socially I was shown that I'm not them. And it peaked in around my 20th, 21st year. My 22nd year was a big chapter checkpoint for me. And I had this kind of identity crisis that led to Archangel Michael reaching out to me and basically saying, you have this light in you that is you. And if you misuse it, it shall be held against you in court, basically. And it told me that I had to kind of, shit or get off the pot, basically. And so I started studying what Christ was, because I had heard this word a lot, and bless every human that has ever assisted me in love and kindness.
Sure.
And for the life of me, I didn't get it. I didn't get why Jesus gets so famous. How not Christian. Right. My dad, you should have heard the stuff that I saw as a kid on the side of the stage. My mom would run over, and start, don't look at that. And I'd be like this, and women were going like this in the front. And I'm like, my dad's not a Christian, so how did he get so successful? He's doing something that's providing monetary income, provided for my family. But my mom is saying some kind of spirituality is needed if you really want to. And then I found this term much later, incur less karma, basically, and be in the right relationship. And so I started really being interested. It's like, okay, well, what did Yeshua really mean when he used this word of Christ? And I found this, the Gospel of Thomas and some other books that weren't in the tradition of scripture. And it started talking about the Christos is actually a crystalline energy system through which consciousness is moving and entering the manifested world through. So the father is entering the mother through the son, and the son and the daughter are this binary androgynous, we are left and right on either side of us. How come my left side of my face isn't, I'm pretty symmetrical. All of us are relatively symmetrical. And so I guess this spirals into this thing of realizing who we are when we're not separate is spirit, and who we are when we are separate, or rather it's all about identification. Who we are. I
think identity is huge.
Yeah, who we are when we identify as separate is this egoic thing, and who we are when we are in union and experience others as part of us and the world as part of us is unified and whole. That was a big piece to me. And when you're in that, you can't get hacked.
I love that. I mean, the scriptures talk about so many times our position, and who we are. And I think that many times when we do go on a midlife crisis or some other crisis, it is an identity crisis. And what happens when someone falls and bumps their head? The first thing they say is, "What's your name? Who are you?" And there's something that's very, I would say, centering about knowing who we are. And yeah, when you're hacked, you don't know who you are. So tell me about that Moon book. Is that actually your book that you were quoting?
Yeah, this is a book that has been, just like you say in, I wish I could page.
That's all right.
You mentioned in one of the chapters about seeing it. And
yes,
man, I saw this vision. I was in Los Angeles wanting to be an actor and make music. And I saw this vision of a black book with the dark side of the moon album cover on it with a white beam of light and a rainbow coming out. And it said Moon Theory on it. I was like, whoa. And I had been going by Rocco Moon, and it means miss out on nothing. But I was like, miss out on nothing is how you heal FOMO. And when you are in FOMO, you're actually in separation consciousness. And I was like, but what does this mean? Basically, I've been taking notes for the past 10 years.
Oh my gosh.
And in the past 2 years, I've really been diligently compressing basically esoteric Christianity into yogic philosophy And also I got certified as a trauma release therapist. And I found that trauma is really what thickens the separation, or thickens
Because you have to disassociate.
So
right? Yeah, you disassociate from your trauma so that it's a coping mechanism.
Yeah, trauma is where the fall happens, and where that separation. So basically, moon theory is coming out well, this is the part of the book that I'm on right now, is make your deadline.
Yes.
And so I have a publisher that's kind of been interested, and an agent that's kind of giving me some notes. And I hear you're involved in these kind of things as well. So maybe there's a conversation for us to have.
I'm a resource for you, and whatever you need, like, I can advise and say, hey, if you go the traditional route, here's the pros, here's the cons. If you go self-publishing, here's the pros. And then we have our own publishing company. But it's all about what you want to achieve with your book. I never push anyone into any model. I say, what's your ultimate goal? And then from that, we can decide the right path.
Yeah.
But I love books. Books are magical. I mean, books, I can get mentored by C.S. Lewis, and he's been dead for, decades. And so books are so powerful.
I could never for the life of me really engage in something that was just words on a page until a thing called Harry Potter.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember my family was on a hunting trip in Africa, and I was in the stand, and they were all hunting, and I was just like,
you were absorbed in another world.
Man, I was teleported. I look forward to having more of a conversation with you soon, man. It seems like there's a lot of coherence and harmony between us. And thank you again for bringing this to the world, and disciplining, and all the things, that dedication that are required to bring this in a manifestation. And thank you.
It's my deep honor, and thank you, Rocco.
Yeah, I'll give you back to this.
All right. What you gotta be proud. You gotta be proud of him, hey?
Yes, I am. And I can't wait for his book to come out, because I know that, he can help a lot of people.
Absolutely. And, what a cool moon versus FOMO. I mean, that's mind-blowing. It's very cool.
So, Kary, how can people find you and get involved in not just being unhacked and reading your book, but what are the different websites you have and social media?
Absolutely. So we love to help authors. I love authors because I struggled with stuttering as a kid, and it manifested into self-injury, and writing became the language by which I could express my emotions. So I'm very passionate about authors. So anybody who's got a book in them or needs help, go to authoracademyelite.com, authoracademyelite.com. And Nikki, that's how we met. We published her book, and Deborah and a bunch of these people. We also, I love the fact that do you speak? Or would you be open to speaking?
Yes, I do speak. I do. I have been several. I actually did last year. I was the keynote speaker for a Red Luncheon for American Heart Association in Waco, Texas. So I've done a few dozen. Yeah.
Well, we have a conference every year called the Igniting Souls Conference, and I signed your book. Thanks for igniting souls, but maybe there's something there where you could address our crowd and inspire them.
They would love
that.
I would love it.
Yeah. So that's ignitingsoulsconference.com, and you'd fit right in.
Awesome.
Otherwise you can look me up, KaryOberbrunner.com. I have a podcast, but I just believe that God created each one of us with a message, and I believe that the most damaging thing in the life of a child, according to Carl Jung, is the unlived life of the parent.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there's a lot of the population right now who's saying COVID or elections or, vaccine, like we got all this stuff filling up our minds. And I think the enemy's winning because instead of being creators, we're being consumers.
Yeah.
And so if I could leave one thing, I would just tell people, like, you were created to create. God has a message inside you. And whether it's books or speaking or art or health, like, you need to get that out. And by getting hacked, you're never going to feel fulfilled. So to me, it's the way out is to get unhacked.
You know, it's interesting because you would think that what's going on in 2020 this year would cause us to be less self-serving. But for me, what it has done is, you know, I've gone into the Bible more, I've journaled more, I've studied more.
Yes.
And Danielle says, embrace your God-given greatness. And I think especially as women, and Nikki and I have talked about this before, and many other women, we tend to put the needs of everybody else first.
Ooh, that's true.
Because we do. That's what we do.
That's true.
And when you get to be, I am so blessed to have kind of, literally when Rocco left home, I became an international Zumba fitness presenter, and I started traveling around the world teaching fitness and creating programs for Zumba. And I kind of fell into that. But I talk to so many women, and I'm sure you do, and I know Nikki does as well, who don't know what is the next step. We've been putting everybody else first. How do we, as Danielle says, embrace our God-given greatness? I'm going to keep you on here for just a few more minutes. If
I
that's
want you to. I want to show something powerful here, because I'm a visual guy. But if you look here, we're all born with 3 questions. Who am I? Why am I here? Where am I going? Until we know our identity, our purpose, and our direction, we can't be a soul on fire. So in other words, becoming a soul on fire is you knowing who you are, why you're here, and where you're going. And that's a journey. And binging on Netflix, although it might be a distraction, like, you're not going to find it there. You know, you're not going to find it at the bottom of a bottle. It's going to take embracing some acute pain. We have chronic pain in our lives, but we often just say it's not bad enough, so I'll just let it go. And for me to get out of self-injury, depression, hacking, stuttering, like, I had to embrace more pain rather than run from the pain. And so anybody here, I'm not saying I love pain. I don't. I'm not some crazy person. But I'm saying that there's this quote, and it's not on a Hallmark card, but it was a spiritual writer who said, until God can wound a person deeply, he can't use us greatly. And I know that that's not popular. It's not, you won't find that in a church or, you know, but the thing is, like, you know it. Your deepest pain is often your greatest platform. And so God's not trying to break you down. It's just like a father or a mother who's good. That shot hurts, you know, that resetting the bone hurts more, but you're never going to be strong unless it's reset. So I've been a guy who struggled with a lot of things in my life, and it's easy to curse the pain. And all I'm saying is that pain can be a gift if you redeem it. Redeem the gift. Don't just curse the gift.
Okay, I'm going to take you down a little bit further. So regarding that, let's put ourselves first. How would you encourage, I'm going to say women, but I know there are some
women
out there as well. They don't know what it is that is their gift. And I've worked with a lot of women to, you know, people think, okay, especially with Rocco, growing up with a rock star for a father, how you can't come close to that. Yeah. So a lot of people think they have to be a famous author or rock star or whatever it is. But, you know, the world needs that gift in your heart, no matter if it's just being a wonderful seamstress or an accountant or a baker or a banker. Yeah. How would you encourage people to find that thing that makes their heart sing?
So I'm in my wife's office right now. She's a counselor. She doesn't ever want to be on a stage. She doesn't ever want to write a book. She doesn't even want to be known. But when she's right here in that chair, you know, talking to her clients, she is a mom, but she also has her own world here. Yeah. And I would encourage people, because a lot of my clients are women, actually, the majority. Don't let your world be only your kids or only your husband. Now, I know that sounds like, what? You're a former pastor and you're saying that? But all I'm saying is, like, listen to what Rocco said. Like, we're connected, but we're also unique. And so I think it's okay to have your world. And my wife loves reading with our kids who are 15, 13, and 11. And her sister doesn't. In other words, like, stop comparing. When you're comparing and saying, look at that mom, oh my gosh, she's a rock star. She had time to cook and this and that and that. What you're doing is you're disassociating. You're saying, I wonder what it would be like to be her. And when you're outside of yourself, you can't be present, and therefore you can't do any impact. So I think it's a lie from the enemy that says compare, and we know that comparison is the thief of joy. So first of all, you know, Ted Nugent is probably amazing, but he carries a burden. See, he carries a burden that I can't carry.
I have seen what he goes through, and I'll admit, when I was a little kid, or even a teenager, I thought it would be great to be famous.
Yeah.
When I see what he goes through, and that's just, he can't literally walk through a crowd. Like, he stopped traveling commercially because he can't get to where he's going. Now, I'm not saying that it's a burden in any way for him to speak with people. He loves it.
Yeah.
The problem is he engages too much and he'll miss his plane.
Yeah.
So, and
but you're right.
He can't go 5 feet. And, you know, the older I get, Kary, the more I don't mean to sound selfish, but I love my alone time.
Yeah.
I love my writing time, my reading time, my journaling time. And I feel like, you know, that will help other people who are watching. I know my mom, Yvonne Messick, is on here, says she could use your expertise. Mom, I'm gonna send you Kary's book, or I'll send you an autographed copy. It will change your life. And we all have to get unhackable. We have to get to the point, you got to get this gift out of you. The world needs to see it.
Absolutely. You're right. It is a burden. Here's the other thing, you know, when you're famous, everything gets taken out of context. I mean, think about it. We can say things and then it goes away, but you're always being evaluated. You're always being critiqued. You're always being taken out of context, and it is a burden. So before you wish you had someone else's life, I just think, you know, be grateful. Gratitude is a way to stay unhackable.
Yeah.
It really is.
Well, Kary, I want this to go on and on. There's just so much to talk about, but will you come on again?
I'd love to. And I'm such a big fan of what you're doing. I mean, I know we've met recently, but congratulations for you to say, hey, this is the last podcast, and you've given yourself permission to write a new chapter. And I think that that's a sign of you not getting hacked. Because so many of us were like, I committed, I got to do it forever. But you're saying the novel, the new show, you got a lot of new things going on. I'm proud of you.
And I have loved doing the show. I always, when I was growing up, I went to school for journalism and communications, and I wanted to be the next Diane Sawyer.
Yes.
So I took this opportunity during the quarantine to do a show and get all dressed up. I like getting dressed up. But I have to show you. I have jeans and
love it.
Look at the slippers, Kary.
Those are great. I love them. That's awesome.
So awesome. You know, I think this has been a wonderful time. I have loved doing the show.
Well, thank you. This was a highlight to me, so I really appreciate it.
I'm still going to be doing these live videos, but when it fits my schedule. So awesome. Thank you so much, Kary, for being here. Everybody go get Kary's book. It's available on Amazon.com.
Amazon, Audible, UnhackableBook.com, any of those places.
It's amazing, and it will change your life. And then once again, the Unhackable website and all the different Unhackable groups.
Assessment, all that stuff, UnhackableBook.com. We got a ton of free things. And folks, if you need anything, reach out, because, you know, we're in a world right now that needs a little more love and kindness. And Shemane, thanks for having me today.
Well, thank you so much for being here. And thank you guys. Thank you to Senior Care of Michigan for sponsoring this. And it's not just for Michigan seniors, it's all across the United States. So check them out at seniorcareofmichigan.com, seniorcareofmichigan.com. And thank you, Kary, for being here. This is not the end. This is the start of a new beginning, right?
Awesome. Absolutely. And you got books in you, and Rocco too. I'm so proud of both of you.
Yeah. Thank you again so much. And thank you, everybody. If everybody watching would share it one time, we would get this message out to people who need to hear it. That's the other reason why I want it. It's not because I, want to have X amount of followers. Every day I get messages from people saying, thank you. This changed my life. So I know there's somebody watching this that this will change their life.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, guys, have a great day. Make it a great day. Do something healthy and happy for you today. And don't go away. I'm not going away forever. I'm going to continue to do live videos. So check it out. Go to my website, ShemaneNugent.rocks, and I'll have more information there and here. Take care, everybody. Bye.